By day, it's the oldest cathedral in the U.S. By night, it's a piece of live modern art. It's called the San Fernando Cathedral, and it's one of San Antonio's hidden gems.
You're listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust.
Welcome to the Travel FOMO podcast. I'm Jamin Houghton. I'm here with my lovely wife and co-host Hillary.
Oh, that's me.
We're in the middle of our Cities in the States season.
That's right. Last week we talked about Austin.
Yep.
Austin, Texas. It is such a fun city. So you're going to want to go back and check that episode out if you missed it. And then today we're taking you even further down south to San Antonio.
That's right. And as we do, go ahead and subscribe to the Travel FOMO podcast from wherever you're listening. It'll make it so much easier for you to catch each episode as it releases.
That's right. And gosh, San Antonio, we've been really fortunate to see it a couple times.
Yeah, we've been there for various reasons. We went once with my family, like a family trip with all my parents and siblings. And then we went just on a couple's trip, the two of us. You've been for work a few times.
I know. I keep forgetting that, I have been a couple times for work, several times. So, and every time I go there, the Riverwalk is obviously the big draw, but there's really so much more to do along, in addition to the river. It's pretty cool.
Really is. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I would say the nightlife is kind of interesting. There's so many fun things to do. And oh gosh, there were two places that really stick out. The first one is the Esquired Tavern. And that's on the Riverwalk.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
That was a great place.
We loved that place so much. We went back twice in one trip.
Yeah.
We loved that place. It's right on the Riverwalk. It's really accessible, but it's also accessible from the street, so you don't necessarily have to be on the river to get to it. It had excellent cocktails, really interesting vibes, and it was great. The people there were even great. I remember enjoying the people there too.
Yeah, it kind of had a really old, saloon-y kind of vibe to it, then the
modern
booths
twist.
And and I remember one time we went and sat in a booth, I think during the day, and then we came back in an evening later on and stood at the bar.
Yeah.
But great cocktails, really cool. It was a great place. You should check it out.
Yeah,
you can.
It was really good. And then there was another one that we found, but you remember this one even more vividly than I do.
I'm amazed that I'm the one that remembers it more because you were so jazzed about it at the time because we were just walking along and we just saw a sign for it, and it was the Havana Bar, and it's part of the Havana Hotel.
Yeah.
And it's sort of under the hotel. So we walked down these stairs into the bar, and it was it's kind of red and sort of dark in there. There's definitely at least one vampire in there that night.
Definitely.
For sure. And so I'm in this place, and we order a drink, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get one drink, and we're going to drink our drink, and we're going to get out of here so that we don't die inside this place. And then they started talking about how the hotel was haunted, and the bartenders started telling stories. And of course, you just geeked out over that. And so we had to stay forever and listen to the haunting stories. Meanwhile, I'm nervously looking around, waiting for Vampire Bill to come out of the back corner and drag us away.
Yeah. It's so funny because it really did. At the time, I wasn't thinking about vampires so much, but going back and looking at pictures, I'm like, oh, yeah, that is heavy on the vampire vibes.
Super creepy.
It was not just red down there. It was it had red lights.
Yes.
It was all lit with red lights, which is really interesting for a full bar to be lit that way.
Yeah, it definitely was that way. They were either developing film and a bar, or they were just going for that really creepy vibe. But it was really cool. And getting to talk to the bartenders and them telling stories about the hauntings and the stuff that they had seen and the stuff that they had heard about. It was cool. It was a lot of fun, and
it felt really intimate. You know,
Yeah.
they were willing to just sit down and chat with us for a long time, and that was really cool.
Well, and I knew right away, like the first mentioning of like hauntings, I was like, okay, well, we're here.
It's gonna be a
We're
little
here
while.
now.
That's awesome.
But there's, a lot of great restaurants too,
Yep.
like around Ocho is a restaurant on the river, really colorful
Yeah.
and like it super modern, but great food. We went and ate there and like just really kind of eclectic and
Very Instagrammable. The way they
Yes,
decorated
absolutely.
was like kind of funky chic, and a lot of like, I feel like it was like we ate in a glass room or something like that. It was really interesting. Like,
yeah, it was
tons of
almost
windows.
almost like a sunroom, had a huge chandelier in there, and like
Mm-hmm.
very kitschy, cool, like
Yeah.
kind of a great spot. We also went with my family. We went to Iron Cactus.
Yeah.
We were down there. Republic of Texas, another County Line Barbecue
Yeah.
is one where we went with my family. I don't think that we actually ate there, but we went to Rita's on the river, had
Yeah,
margaritas
that
with
was
my
fun.
sisters,
Yeah.
and I think we might have had some chips and salsa, but I don't think we actually ate.
Yeah, that was fun though.
But there's also, not every story is a great story, and not every moment is it's a proud moment. But one night we went out, and we were there with my family, and we were, I think it was maybe toward the end of the trip or something, and we were like, well, we're gonna go to dinner, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So
A
we're
little
gonna
couple time.
right, we're gonna
Yeah.
go off to ourselves. I don't think we had been married for very long at the time.
No,
Like,
we are little babies.
yeah. And so we're like, we're going to go out, but we didn't research and we didn't really look into things. And so we're just walking along and we see like the Rainforest Cafe and
there wasn't a lot of. I feel like maybe there wasn't a lot of stuff open either. Or
I think it was a
something.
little bit late. And so stuff was starting to close.
And
A
we
few
didn't
places
know
were
exactly
closing
where everything
down.
was, and
Yeah. And so we just sort of took the path of least resistance and wound up there, which like Rainforest Cafe is fine. Like the food's fine and it's great. And it's great to take kids to, but two grown adults in the Rainforest Cafe, like
they're like, "Do you want to keep your plastic cups?
yeah, like here's your sparkly cup that you're like
and your
that
straw
lights up.
that glows in the dark."
Yeah, and it was like, no, I would rather you just take cash so that there's not a receipt of me being here and just let me go along my way. So
Too funny.
I would say do your research and go to a little bit more effort to find something. And again, like great place, just not like what we were looking for
Not our vibes.
that night. Yeah,
Yeah.
not our vibes. And so that was a learning moment
Yeah,
for me.
we adulted a little different that night than
Yes.
we normally would.
Yeah,
Too
so
funny.
should have looked a little further into that. But you live and learn.
That's right. But there are so many great places to get a good dessert too. while you're
Yeah,
on the river.
yeah, lots of good spots. The Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory we went,
Yeah.
and
Aw.
is
Good
kind
memories.
of like it's kind of cool to remember because we went with my dad, and my dad passed away several years ago, and so
Yeah.
it's one of the, you don't know what moments are going to be the ones that like you can't go on vacation with dad anymore.
Yeah.
And he really liked to treat everybody, and he always wanted to make sure that everybody had got what they wanted, and that everybody was happy and everyone got to have fun, and that was kind of the way that he expressed love a lot. And I really remember going to the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory there with him, and it was his treat, and he wanted to make sure that everybody got what they wanted and enjoyed it. I think we have a picture of all of us in front of the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory there, and
It was a great trip.
yeah, it was a really good time, and just one of those places that we saw a picture of it recently, and not even like the picture of all of us together, but just a picture of the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory on the Riverwalk. And I just kind of immediately was back there and back with Dad and enjoying that time. And those are, it's travel like that that breaks you away and makes stuff stand out and be significant. And so gives you the ability to hold on to those kinds of things. And that's why you take trips with people, and that's why you go on those trips with family, is so that you can have those times to cling back to and remember like what Dad was all about and what he was like. And it's so much more than just, a chocolate turtle. But it's him pulling everybody together to create that memory. And that's what travel can do if you do it right. And so I really remember that from that particular trip and that time.
Yeah. I always think about him when I think about the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. I literally think of that night.
Yeah.
And I love that. And you're right. You said that really well, in that that was always his love language, was to find out what people wanted to experience, whether that's doing something, eating something, seeing something.
Mm-hmm.
He would ask everyone, every individual person, what do you want to do? What are you looking forward to? And then he would make sure it happened.
Yeah.
And that was this beautiful love language that he had. And I just think that's really special.
Yeah. And that was a really cool trip. We stayed in a timeshare, my grandpa Bo's timeshare. We talked about Papa Bo and our stay in his timeshare in Vegas. But we went on a boat tour, and I don't remember much about that boat tour itself, but I can still very clearly see my dad and what he was wearing and where he was sitting on the boat as we were on that boat tour. And it's a great little tour to take. You get in a boat and it takes you through the Riverwalk, and they tell you about the city and some of the history and some of the buildings and things. It's an awesome little tour to take, but I don't know that I could tell you much about the information that was shared, but I can still really clearly see my dad on that boat. And it's just kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah. That we've got that picture we need to share of us all waiting in line to get on the boat tour. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good one. Well, and you and I, we went back to San Antonio after your dad died. What was that like?
It definitely brought back all of those memories of him. But I think when you go back and you see those things, you can take that opportunity to grieve a little bit and be a little sad and wish that he was still there, but then you can also kind of honor his memory and remember the good things and remember that that he was there and now you're there. And I think that's sort of what you do when you lose people. You recognize that the people that are special to you put part of themselves into you. And so you're in essence taking them with you when you travel, and you're bringing them along, and they may not be physically there with you, but they're a part of you, and so they are there, and their memory is one that can drive you and can make those places still special, because they're still there and you can still think about them and remember them and sort of honor their legacy by taking them with you when you travel and when you step out of what's normal or when you step out of your routine.
Yeah.
And take those moments.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I really want to tell you about this great new thing that I found. Every time I bring it on a trip, I am so glad that I did. It saves me money, it makes life easier, and I'm better looking because of it. The only problem is I haven't found it yet. So if your product can make our lives better, let's talk, because we want to know and we want to share.
Man, yeah, the Riverwalk itself. So many good memories there. And we've had some special moments there, just the two of us.
Yeah, it was a great trip when we went down there. Like we went on that run.
A long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were training for another marathon.
Mm-hmm. And we needed to get in some miles. I think you might have been training too for like a half or something, because you went the whole way with me. And we got in a lot of miles. Yeah.
But, long run.
But we basically ran a lot of the river. I mean, at least 10 miles, I would say, that day.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because we got to see it in the early morning hours without anybody out there. And it wasn't crowded. It was very, very scenic, very picturesque. I remember just wanting to take photos the whole time.
Yeah, that was so cool to get up early and run. Like you said, like, all the places are closed. There's nobody out there. We had the Riverwalk all to ourselves. And it was really cool to see it that way.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, just, tips. And I feel like this is a good tip no matter where you travel. If you want that place to yourself, wake up and get up in the morning, and you might have to sacrifice some sleep, but it can so be worth it. And it might be the times that you remember the most of your adventures there. So,
yeah. Well, and I feel like you can scope places out. You're running, so you're moving quicker, and there's there's fewer people around. And so you're kind of moving through, and I feel like you can really identify those spots of like, oh, did you see that place? Like, that looked really cool. I want to go back there.
Yeah.
And kind of map those places out for yourself if you go on a little run.
Yeah, true. Very true. But there's so much more to San Antonio than the Riverwalk. We've talked about the Riverwalk a lot.
Yeah, we talked about the Riverwalk a lot, but there is so much more. Like, we've been to SeaWorld there, Six Flags. We went with both of those with my family. A lot of fun there. Like, theme parks are just a good time, and like, they've got some great ones there to check out. The Alamo, you can go see the Alamo, which is really cool. Growing up as a kid, hearing the story of the Alamo and Davy Crockett and all that, and then going to actually see it is really special. And the museum they have there, you can go tour the Alamo and actually walk inside it and see what it was like, and it really makes an impact when you go in there and think about its significance and all that comes with it. It's a cool thing to go see. It's so iconic in Texas, and you see the outline of it on a lot of stuff, but going and actually walking inside, it has a weight to it.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah. A lot of people, they see the "come and take it" phrase, and they may even wear that phrase. But like, when you go to the Alamo and you see and really like look at what happened there, it has a lot more value to that phrase. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and then the San Fernando Cathedral.
That was so cool.
Yeah, we talked about in the opening.
Highly recommended.
Absolutely. Like, it just so interesting. And I'll confess, when you first were like, well, there's this cathedral and I want to go because at night they shine lights on it and it's this whole art thing. And I was like, I don't know that I want to see him shine lights on a building.
Right.
But going and seeing, and it's this live moving artwork created on this building. It's I think it's called the Saga light show, and it blows you away.
Yeah,
just so cool. It debuted in June of 2014, and I think it's gone on since then. And you can go see it, check it out. And
it's basically like, you've got this amazing cathedral, right? This old architecture, but then at night they shine like lights
and almost like a projection of
Yes, they project. Yeah.
yeah, like a story, but it's not just like watching a movie on the side of a building. It's like art.
Yeah, and it plays
really
off
cool.
of the building in different ways that are really cool, and projects different images and moving images and colors, like a lot of color and a lot of changing, and it's really cool. It's something you got to see and then go back and see again.
Yeah, and it focuses on the history of Texas, I believe. So it's got some historical elements to it too. So it would make a great field trip for kids. It's really cool, but adults too. It's awesome. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So go check it out. Like plan your evening around it. Go have some, like, maybe have an early dinner and then go catch the show and then go for a nightcap or something like that, because it's worth checking out. You gotta see it. If you don't, you'll kick yourself for not going and seeing it.
Fiesta San Antonio is something that happens too every spring in San Antonio. And we've never actually been there for it, but we know enough people from San Antonio that have talked this up so much that we have to at least mention it in this podcast. It is really, a series of celebrations happening over the course of several weeks. They celebrate all things San Antonio. It's been going on for 130 years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Right?
It started in 1891. It was just a parade, right? And it honored the heroes of the Alamo and the Battle of San Jacinto?
Jacinto, yeah.
Jacinto, did I say that right? But now it's way, way more than just a parade. There is a beauty pageant that is an internship / thing that happens now, and then there's a lot of royalty. So whoever wins the pageant is named one of the many members of this official Fiesta royal family, kind of, which is really pretty cool. And then everyone really talks about this part from my perspective. I've heard so many people talk about the medals.
Yeah.
Like custom medals. Like if you can imagine a medal that someone who has fought in a war, they receive a medal, right?
Right.
It's kind of like that. It's like this medal that you would wear, and it represents where you work, or so like our employer had a custom medal made every year, and they would trade it out with other organizations and other companies, and so people would be wearing these medals. And anyway, it's really kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
And such a big deal to everyone in San Antonio. Like it seems almost hard to explain.
Right. And it's one of those things like, well, almost like Mardi Gras is in New Orleans, that everyone from there is like, well, we have to be aware that that's during Fiesta.
Yeah.
Or like that takes place during we can't do this event then, or we can't do this or that then because Fiesta's going on.
Right.
And it's like, it's the big thing that like, no, you stop down for this because it's a really big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's other great places off the Riverwalk to eat as well. We went to El Camino, and it was sort of this almost like food truck vibe, but it was, it was a little building where you go up and get your food, and then a bunch of outdoor seating and cool lights and stuff like that. The food was great, and it was a really cool spot to check out. It's down close to the Pearl factory where Pearl beer is made.
North part of the Riverwalk, I guess you would say.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And so another really kind of cool area to check out and see if you got some time.
Yeah.
You also went to another restaurant. What was it?
Yeah, it was really cool. Rosario's Mexican Cafe and Cantina. That was one I knew nothing about, never heard of. But I had a coworker who was like, which I have to give her a shout out, Edna Perez-Vega. She is a fabulous host. And so when we would come down to San Antonio for different work events, she would take us there. And I mean, it was really cool. It's almost like a Mexican restaurant, but it's also
retro and almost like a retro diner. It has diner vibes in a weird way. It's kind of cool. I think it's part of the chairs and things and tables that they use.
Gotcha.
But super colorful, but great Mexican food. She took myself and Michelle Riddell there. And then I also have to give a shout out to a couple other colleagues, Esteban Lopez and John Ramos. They were always being really generous with their time whenever I was in town, and they would like take me places so I could see San Antonio. And
That's cool.
Yeah, I just, it's been pretty cool. I think I actually dined there at that restaurant several times with some of them. But yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Great food.
I feel like we talk a lot about food and drinks, and I feel like we're always telling people that there's more to the places that we've been than just the surface, and that they need to go. But I'm just going to say it again. Like, there's more to San Antonio than what you realize. You need to go check it out. Do a little research.
Yeah.
And pick out the stuff that looks like you're going to like it. And I bet you will, because San Antonio is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will share some of our picks from San Antonio on social media, including some really sweet throwbacks that I know we have of your family whenever we were all there.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And everyone can find those on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And then that's also a great place for you to engage us, tag us, tell us about your own adventures. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that there's this really awesome photo of you on the way to San Antonio just dead asleep in the car. So we'll be sure to throw that one up there too.
Is my nose in the air and like my mouth open? Because that seems like my standard.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, you've got headphones in, your head is back so that the air conditioner can blow straight into your nostrils, and then your mouth is open.
That's how I sleep the best on the road. That's funny. It's really on brand for me. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, do us a quick favor and rate, review, and subscribe to the Travel FOMO podcast from wherever you are listening. And of course, you can learn more about us at travelfomopodcast.com. Where are we off to next?
Next, we're going to another American hotspot. A lot of families end up here, as we did, and we're excited to tell you about Orlando, Florida. And you will find out if it is really the happiest place on earth.
Ooh, I'm really intrigued by that. Okay, everyone. Hope you enjoy your next week. And just remember to live every day fully, because life is short.
Wander well.